Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Course in Miracles and More. Uh, well, I can see all your beautiful faces over there, and and Leslie, it's so wonderful to see you. I miss you so much. Honestly, you come into my heart and mind every once in a while. It's really true. So happy to see you. Yes, and JC and everybody. I am so excited about today because this whole session is dedicated, or I'm offering it to my beloved guru Sri Sathya Sai Baba, and um, and so Jamie's just looking for an amazing picture of Sai Baba. And for those of you who may not know who Sai Baba is, he is a wonderful avatar for the cosmic age of the cosmic Christ. He's not in physical form at this time, but he is definitely working alongside of the masters in the higher worlds, holding up Christ consciousness. And there he is. And I feel, and I know, oh, look at him there, giving us all blessings. That's just so beautiful. Om Sai Ram. and so we have the privilege, and I really do think of it as a privilege and a blessing and an honor to have spent time in the ashram with Sai Baba. And he always says, you don't have to come here to see me. I'm in your heart. He's just a representative of your higher self, and he makes his life his message. And he always said to us, I don't need your devotion. I want your transformation. And over the years, we just heard so many amazing discourses given by Sai Baba. And I really think that he was working alongside of me over these last few days, because I was feeling his presence so strongly as I was reading some of his books. One in particular, one discourse, which I'm going to talk about today, which is the discourse on putting a ceiling on desires. And I could really feel him, saying, and then say this, and then say that. He's really cheeky and playful. And anyway, so I want to get into that. But first, I'd like to start with a meditation, just a gentle, softening of our heart so we can be open to receive the beautiful blessings and words coming to us from Sai Baba. So with that, just go ahead and close your eyes. And we begin by breathing in love and breathing out fear. So focus on your breath. Breathe in love and breathe out fear. We've got to let go of fear. Fear comes from the past. And so we just take a few minutes and center ourselves by breathing in love and breathing out not love, which is fear. We're letting go this morning or this evening, wherever you are. Breathing in. And as we breathe in love, we are asking the Spirit to increase in us our desire for God. That's the only desire that we want increased in us, is the desire for God, which is peace, love. It's just a state of being that is beyond time and space. And so as we sit here breathing in love and breathing out fear, we are asking the divine, the Spirit, please increase in me the desire for God. That is my deepest prayer right now, is the desire for God. And so we breathe in, I desire more than anything else to be one with God, to be one with my higher self. And as I ask for this, at the same time, I tell God or Spirit the truth. And the truth is, that it's been so difficult for me to give up my desires. Let's just be honest. It's been so difficult for me to give up my desires and my plans, all the things I think I need, all the things I think I want. Oh, dear God, it's been so hard for me to give up these desires. And I find it so hard to say yes to you all the time. I tell myself I want to be an instrument for my higher self, for you, God, but truth be told, I find it really, really difficult to give up all this wanting of everything in this world. And I know in this moment I need help. I really do need help because I of myself cannot do it. I have cravings beyond, and addictions and habits and all kinds of things that seem to take over that desire for you. And so I am on my knees in my mind with my hands in prayer position, and I'm asking the Spirit within me to increase my desire only for God. That is where freedom lies. That is where my freedom lies. And so we know that as we come into this physical body, we come in with all kinds of past life memories, attitudes, behaviors, and beliefs that are all buried in the subconscious. And so my beautiful divinity, the truth of my being, has an overlay of all kinds of programming. And then in my early childhood environment, I was programmed. And even unto this day, I am running a program, a belief that I learned from my mom, beliefs that I learned from my dad. They're still running. They're still running. And even though I tell myself they aren't, they are. Because a lot of the times I am unconscious in my behavior. I'm unconscious about the words I say and the thoughts I think. I just keep going unconscious. And that is why I need you. I need you, Spirit. I need you to help me to desire only peace. I want to put an end to suffering. I want to be done chasing after desires and dreams in a world that can offer me temporary happiness. I want to be done with that. And I truly want to be an instrument for the divine in me. I want the divine in me to use my eyes. I want the divine in me to use all my senses. I want my body to truly be a moving temple by which the Spirit lives, moves, and has its being within. That is my prayer today. And so we breathe in love and breathe out love, because that is what you are, the embodiment of love. And all the saints, the masters, the spiritual guides, beloved Baba, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Rama, all the saints, all the avatars who went before us, they have walked this path before us. And so they know all of this can be taken away in a twinkling of an eye, but for most of us, it's a gradual process of letting go, letting go, letting go. And Baba tells us that man, you, minus desire, equals God. You without desires equals God. And so we want these vritas, these tight, tough stones of everything not God that are in our chakras, in our astral body. We want them removed. We want them dissolved. And we do that by turning our life, our will, and everything over to the care of Spirit, to have all of this dissolved in the light. We want God's grace. We want God's grace today. And so I invite you to use your creative imagination to see yourself in the most beautiful forest. It is so pretty. There are trees so green, blue skies above you, sunshine. No one's with you. You're all alone. You're by yourself in this beautiful, beautiful garden, this forest. It has flowers. You choose what kind of flowers you want in your forest. It's your dream. And there is a beautiful lake. That's for sure. There's a beautiful, pristine waters. A lake, crystal clear and bluish turquoise. It is so inviting. And there are stones and rocks around this lake. Imagine nature. You can hear birds and butterflies. There's little butterflies. Maybe there's a bright blue butterfly. Maybe there's a monarch butterfly, but it's your dream. Whatever butterflies you want, you get to have. By your thoughts, you create. Make your forest wonderful, and know that no one is there with you. You are there with the presence of love all around you. And I want you to go down. You find a big boulder, and it's around the lake. And I want you to go and find one that's perfect for you to sit down on. And so you do. When you're sitting and the weather is absolutely perfect. The sun is twinkling off the water. It is the most perfect day. In fact, if the Garden of Eden is a real thing, you are in it. The Garden of Eden. It is perfect. And I want you to look down at your shoes. What are you wearing on your feet? Look at your pants, or if you're a woman, do you have a dress on or a skirt? How are you dressed? Just see yourself sitting on this boulder. Do you have a picture of that in your mind? Okay. And now as you sit here, I want you to think about how you find it so difficult to give up desires. Because you really do. I know I do. Your desires around food, let's say. Think about that. And how you know you shouldn't open that fridge door, but there you are, going into the fridge, looking for something to eat, and you're not even hungry. Completely unconscious. And then you take money and you splurge and spend on things you don't even need. And then you waste your precious energy talking nonsense, gossiping, talking about things that add on nothing to this world. In fact, it just lowers the vibration. Think about that, and how you find it difficult to stop. Wasting time, wasting energy, wasting money, wasting food, adding on to the extravagance of the world where we see desires, desires, desires. And you say to yourself, I just want to serve you, God. And then you pile your plate with mountains of food. And you have a problem. Your blood pressure is high, or you might be having diabetes, or there's a problem in the physical body. But the desire for that food is greater than the desire for God. Just think about those things and how they weigh you down, the desires, bodily desires, worldly desires, and how they weigh you down. They weigh heavy. And in fact, you can imagine that the clothes you're wearing feel so heavy because of all the desires. Just allow yourself to go back in time and think about the desires. Because honestly, in order to reach the Godhead, to know who you are as the image and likeness of God, you have to let go of desires. The mind is still split. You still desire this and God. There must be one singularity of focus, which is above all else. I want God. And God would deprive you of nothing, but your higher self will guide you, and you'll feel it through the desires of your heart, which are pure desires. And so think about how heavy your blouse feels, or your dress feels, or whatever, how heavy your body feels. And you don't like that feeling anymore because you want to ascend. You want to be liberated. You want to feel free from the burden of endless desires, attachments, cravings. And so I want you to stand up now. See yourself standing up in your mind's eye in this beautiful garden where no one is around. You are all alone. And so you know what I want you to do? I want you to take all your clothes off. Just strip down. Take off that dress, take it all off, and stand there buck naked and dive into that water. Just dive into that water. Go right beneath the surface of the water and feel the waters of love light purifying every particle of your being, purifying your mind of cravings, purifying your soul, purifying your heart, filling you up with the desire for only God, for only joy, for only peace, sparking your imagination to be an inspiring soul on earth. Just swim around under that beautiful crystal water. Feel the water purifying your body thoughts. Just think about that. And you may have even thought, I can't take my clothes off. I'm too... Because you desire to be something else. There's another desire. You find your desires everywhere. But here you are in the water, swimming beneath the surface, and you are allowing the waters of creation in this lake to purify you in every way. Just swim around. Keep going. Keep swimming. Come up for some air and then dive down. You feel that water against your bare body. And you feel clean. You feel light. You feel purified and joyous. Yes. Okay, get ready because we're going to come out of the water. Okay, I want you to swim up. Come up to the shore and get out of the water. You're standing on the sand with the boulders all around you, and right in front of you are the perfect clothes for you. And use your imagination, whatever that is for you. This is your dream. And you put that on, and it feels so light. and so clean and beautiful. You feel renewed. You just feel so good. Really, really good. And I want you to look to the left and see on a big rock, there is a beautiful crystal heart. It's so pretty. It's maybe 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. It's just a beautiful heart. It caught your eye because the sun was glistening off this beautiful heart. And I want you to go over and pick this heart up and put it in the palm of your left hand, the hand that receives. And look at that heart. Look at the beautiful crystal heart and know that this is a symbol of a desireless state of being. This is a symbol of God in your body. This is a symbol of the fire of love in your heart. This is a symbol of you desiring only God. It's a treasure. It's a gift. It's the grace of God that you are seeking. And I want you to take that heart and put it over top of your heart and know that your physical heart is going to take the energy of that crystal heart into your physical heart. And feel your heart flutter with delight because you have just increased your desire for God. It feels so good. It feels so good. And just know that when you come back into your everyday life, you are carrying with you the desire for God in your heart, because you know what? All of us want that. At a soul level, at a heart level, we all want God in our heart. We want that to be our only desire in order to live a life of joy. And so you know what? When you come back into your own life, your daily life, when you feel a moment where you just can't do it or you're craving something, you just tap your heart. You just tap that beautiful crystal in your heart, and you will be reminded by the spirit of joy in you that God is the only power, the only love, the only peace. God is the grace that you're seeking, not the food, not the new this or that, not anything. You don't want the body desires. Yes, you will be sustained and given all that you need to live your daily life. But when you have that moment of wanting to chase or wanting to overeat or wanting to do anything in excess, you just tap your heart, and that beautiful crystal heart within your physical heart will throw lights, beautiful rays, the rays of God, the rays of love light, the rays of peace. And the desire for things of this world will leave you, and you will be standing there in the presence and in the power and in the grace of He that created you. Everything God. Everything God. Can you feel that? And the same goes when you want to activate a memory where you want to attack or defend, you want to judge or condemn. Just tap your heart, and the crystal heart within you will send the great rays forth to dissolve that wanting of the ego. Can you feel that? That's the gift of God's grace today. And so we smile. We have new clothes on. We have a new heart, a renewed mind. And we feel very grateful. And so I'll give you a minute or two to say a prayer your way. And when you hear the bell, we'll come back. Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome back. I hope you can feel that crystal heart in your heart, a symbol of the desire only for God, the desire only for God. And that's what's so needed in these times, isn't it? My goodness. You look out there and Baba says all you see is desires, desires, desires. And so we have to put a stop to that. You know what's interesting? When you watch your mind and the next time you have a desire for something and you tell yourself no, just pay attention to what comes up for you. There's a feeling of deprivation. You feel deprived. You want that thing, right? It's so crazy. I know I do that for myself. When there's a craving, it can be for anything, food, shopping, a craving for something. And I stop and I say, no. And then you get to see and feel what comes up. Well, why not? It's only a small thing. I'll just take it. It's not a big deal. Can you feel that in yourself? Right? These addictions, these habits. And what you're experiencing when you have the feeling of, oh, I really want that thing. I desire that thing. And you tell yourself no. What's coming up for you is the overlay of subconscious programming that's on those chakras. That's what's coming up. All the reasons why you should allow yourself to have what it is you want to have. What it is you desire in that moment. That could, we do things that hurt us. For example, why is it if you're a diabetic? I use that one because diabetes is one of the biggest diseases on the planet right now. It's huge, right? So we have an issue, let's say, with diabetes, and you know you shouldn't eat that thing, but you eat it. Why do we do that? Why? Because the desire is so strong, the craving, the attachment. This is all coming from the vitras. They're called vitras in the Hindu religion. They're like stones of memories and desires and cravings that are lodged in the astral body. Remember I drew that picture of all the little things that we carry in our chakras. That's what's running the show. Your subconscious mind is running the show. And so, you've got this diabetic problem. You might even be taking 5 insulin shots a day or whatever it is, and you eat it anyway. This is what the Course in Miracles talks about, Baba talks about. The desires are so strong. So just do this week as a practice. I mean, this is a good one. We've got the heart of desirelessness now in our physical heart. But notice when you tell yourself no, you're not going to go there. You're not going to do that. And notice what comes up. And then notice your behavior. You might become moody. You might take it out on someone else, right? You might be curt in your speech or pouty. The victim comes up. The child acts out in you. All the different behaviors that we do, right? They're all the result of these vitras, these samskaras that we carry in our astral body. So that's a really good practice. And Baba talks more about that, but I'm going to get into it right now because here is I took different excerpts from different discourses from Sai Baba that are based on sealing on desires. This was one of the biggest things he taught because he said that you cannot reach the Godhead. You cannot become self-realized with worldly desires. You must have one desire, and that desire is only for God. And that is why when Baba wrote that prayer many years ago, it was the prayer of surrender. And he said, when you say yes to me, you give up the right to be like everyone else. He's not talking about, Baba represents the higher self. So when you say, yes, I am going to live according to the guidance from my higher self, you're not like everybody else. And to really live under the guidance of your higher self, it is a huge calling. Because it would mean then that when you are craving that bodily pleasure that you know is not going to be good for you, financially, health-wise, wasting, whatever, if you can't master that, how to become God? Even though we are God in truth, but how to become self-realized? It's impossible. And that is why Baba's discourses on sealing on desires was he always talked about that. So let me go into some of the things that he said, and these are from Baba's words. Om Sai Ram. Baba says, desires are a prison. What is the meaning of sealing on desires? Man is deluded by his unlimited desires. And all these desires are worldly desires. And when we are addicted and attached, I can't give it up, I need it, I want it, the more we do that, the more delusional we become. Man is living in a dream world. He is forgetting the supreme consciousness. That is why it is important to keep our desires under control, to place a ceiling on them. Enough already. He's not saying ever you can't have that thing. He's not saying, he's saying, listen to me and I will guide you. But when we just overindulge and we do all the things because the body wants it, you are not being guided. The ego has taken over. So the question, Baba always would say, who's your puppeteer? Baba asks, who's your puppeteer? Is your higher self your puppeteer? Who's pulling the strings? Your higher self or the ego? Who's your puppeteer? A really good question, right? So that's why it's really important to keep our desires under control, to place a ceiling on them. We are spending too much money. Instead of inordinate spending for our own pleasure, we should be spending for the relief or for the greater good of the whole. Money is God. What are you doing with your money? Money is God. Curtail your desires. As materialistic desires lead to a restless and disastrous life. Desires are a prison. Man can be freed only by limiting his wants. Think about that the next time you go to a buffet. That's a really good test. You go to a buffet and you want it all. The glutton archetype takes over. And suddenly, desire for God goes out the window, and the pleasures that food, seeming pleasure because it doesn't last, anything that we crave after in this world is very fleeting. So we go to a buffet and we eat our faces off, and then we come home, I don't know, maybe you have heartburn, your sugar's out of control, your blood pressure went up, whatever you did. And this is what Baba says. Man can only be freed by limiting his wants. You have to understand the power of your wanting. The power of your wanting. So, what if your power, you wanted only the grace of God? You wanted only God's grace. And you said that all day. In fact, I'll stop right here and tell you, Baba always said, meditation is good, but he said in these times, it requires a full-time meditation all day long by holding thoughts of God in your mind. He said to sit down and meditate is we do that in the physical world, okay, this is good too, but if you can hold in your mind all day long the thoughts of God, this is meditation. And he gave a very simple meditation, and he said to say, So hum. So hum. And to say it in your mind. And the so on the inhale, so hum. On the exhale, he said, I and thou are one. And to say so hum all day is a meditation. And you know, it doesn't have to be complicated. What I really love about Sai Baba's teaching, they're very simple and they're quite cute and they're very, you know, practical. Somehow we think the more complicated a teaching, the more powerful it is. But it's in the simplicity that Baba gave these pearls of wisdom that if we practice them, we can reach self-realization. So Baba says then, well, how can you reduce your desires? Okay, there's practices that we can do. And the very first thing he said is food. I know. Isn't that interesting? He said, eat only what you need to eat. And I have to tell you a little story. When I went to the ashram with my late husband, Aaron, we were sitting, of course, the men and the women are on, you know, separate sides. And Aaron was saying that he filled his plate up and it was looking like Mount Fukushima. Is that the mountain? Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji. Fukushima wasn't Fukushima where the thing exploded, the nuclear thing. The Mount Fuji. He said the food was massive. And so he was sitting there eating. He said, oh Lord, I took way too much food. Oh my goodness, I can't even eat this food. And then he looked up and he saw a picture of Baba on the wall and it said, do not waste food. He said it was a real dilemma. Because the other teaching is put a ceiling on desires and then don't waste food. What do I do here? I mean, you know, and that's the thing. What are your eating habits like? Right? So he said, eat only what you need to eat and don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Do not take more than you can eat and waste the rest. Because wasting food is a great sin. The surplus food can feed another stomach. Do not waste food because food is God. Life is God. And man is born from food. Food is the main source of man's life, body, mind, and character. So he says the gross part of food, which is the major portion of the food consumed by the body, is thrown out as waste matter. Then he says, a minute amount of the food, which is the subtle part, is assimilated by the body and flows as blood. And a minuscule amount, which is the subtlest part of the food, makes up the mind. Yeah. Therefore, the mind is the reflection of the food consumed. The reason for the present beastly and demonic tendencies in our minds is because of the food we consume. Okay, so this is where the Ayurvedic teaching comes in, where Baba said there's 3 types of food that affect your body. Number 1, sattvic food. Sattvic food are foods in their most natural state. You know, the greens, things fed by the sun. They feed the light body and they make your thoughts light. In fact, we at the ashram, you know, eating in the canteen was just beautiful sattvic food. And you were feeding your energy body every day and feeling so light. And so it was easy to give up desires, easy to tap into spirit, because the mind is not doing other things. If you eat rajasic food, there's a tendency to have bitterness and jealousies, and the rajasic foods are your sour kind of foods and salty kind of foods. And again, not wrong or bad, but if you are a crazy person eating a lot of salt and this and that, well, your blood pressure goes out. You know, you're out of balance and your moods are affected by food. I just watch people who have issues with food. If they don't have food, they become angry, they become short-fused, they become impatient, they become all funny ways. So you can't say that the food doesn't affect the mind. It does. It just does. And then the tamasic foods, which are the meats and the real weighty foods, they make you feel hot-tempered and they bring anger, and they're tamasic. So the three types of food are sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. And we have to pay attention to that. You know, the Course in Miracles is such a powerful book, and it tells you to work with the mind. And we are working with the mind, but you know what? You do things in the physical world that help the mind. So you have to do things, you know, in your daily life that help you to become stronger in your mind. And so eating light, and again, don't let the pendulum swing to one side where you're like starving yourself to death and things like that, or overeating or whatever. It's balance, because everything in nature is about balance. So we can have a little bit of tamasic food, a little bit of rajasic food, a little bit of sattvic food, but the main one is, as you go higher in consciousness, the desire for the heavy foods leave you. And in fact, breatharians live off of the prana in the air, because when you're so tapped into God consciousness, you're not even hungry. You're just not hungry, because you're being fed something else, not of this world. Have you ever had that experience? I know I have. Many times we go to even Egypt. I don't care if I eat. I don't care. If I'm in the ashram, just something about the energy. I'm just not even hungry. So that's what Baba's talking about here. So he said, instead of kindness, compassion, love, and patience, only bad qualities such as hatred and attachments are being perpetrated. And isn't that true? We don't even know, like, you look at the world today and it's all mixed up. People don't know good from bad, right from wrong, up from down. Deception is everywhere, because the desire for worldly things is greater than the desire for God. You can just see it everywhere. In fact, in transhumanism and everything that's coming down now, as the cycle of our planet shifts from Pisces into Aquarius, we are seeing it even more. Who are we going to be in this new energy that's part of this new cycle? Are we going to be committed to our God self, or are we still going to chase these bodily desires? And if you are, you could wind up with a chip in your head. You could wind up being, artificial intelligence. Or are you going to evolve organically because you are choosing to listen to your God self speak to you? Like, this is serious stuff. Okay, so Baba says a large part of the water we drink is expelled as urine. A minute part of the water consumed becomes the life force. Therefore, the nature of the food and water that we take in decides our character. Isn't that interesting? And I see it. I can see it in people. What do they feed football players? Raw steak. Right? You can really see it. Only by controlling the quality of our food and water can we attain divinity. That is why food is said to be God. Hence, to waste food is to waste God. Do not waste food. Eat only what you need, and be sure that what you eat is sattvic. Give any surplus food to those in need. Isn't that beautiful? Baba's teachings are pure. They're so clean, so clear, so simple. Second of all, Baba says, do not misuse money. By doing so, you will only become a slave to bad qualities, bad ideas, and bad habits. Use your money wisely for good deeds. Do not waste money, as a misuse of money is evil. Now remember that the opposite of evil is live. So anything we do that's opposite of life, which is love, is evil. Evil is an anti-life thought or behavior. So when you waste money, it adds on nothing. Nothing is added on to life, to love. It's actually an evil act because it's anti-life. life. This will lead you along the wrong path by wasting money. He says the most important, this is the third one he says about this putting a ceiling on desires. He said the most important, the most needed factor is time. One should not waste time. Time should be spent in a useful manner. How beautiful is that? How do you spend your time? I mean, really. Do you spend your time thinking about what a stupid day it is? Or how you have nothing to do and you're bored? Like Mother Teresa said, go find somebody who feels alone and convince them that they're not. How about that? Go to a hospital, show up, serve humanity. Baba said, love all, serve all. But we waste time by thinking thoughts that are of no value. They weaken us. They make us sick. Baba said, time should be spent in a useful manner, and time should be sanctified, because everything in this creation is dependent on time. Even our scriptures say that God is referred to as time and as non-time. God is not limited by time. He is beyond time. He is time. He restricts time. Time is the embodiment of God. Everything depends on time. Even the timing of our life, the timing of things that you want to do, things that you need to get done, right? It's all according to time. It's all according to time. And there's a right time and a right season for absolutely everything. The main reason for man's birth and death is time. Time is the main factor in our growth. If we waste time, our lives will be wasted. Therefore, time is an essential part of our life. And the Course in Miracles tells us, yes, we are on this timeline, but what are you using your time for? Is it to serve spirit? Are your strings being pulled by spirit? Spirit is your puppeteer, or is it ego on this timeline? Do not degrade time by spending it participating in unnecessary conversations or by getting involved in others' personal matters. That would be like a people pleaser. That would be like a person who feels you have to fix others all the time instead of looking at your own self. I have a book for you and that person didn't even ask. I have this for you, they didn't even ask. You're outside, distracted in this world, trying to fix everybody, wasting time. You should be spending that time contemplating God and being in service to your higher self. Use time to be in service to your higher self, and your higher self will direct you. So the truth behind the saying, don't waste time, is that no time should be wasted in evil thoughts and acts. Instead, make use of time in an efficient way. The next energy that Baba talks about is our physical, mental, and spiritual energies should never be wasted. You might ask me, how are we wasting our energies? And Baba says, if you see bad things, your energy is wasted. Always pointing to, I don't like that, I don't like that, pointing over here, pointing over there. You are the embodiment of love. You are taking God's energy and wasting it on things that are not of love. He says, speaking evil, you're wasting energy. Then he says, hearing bad things, you're wasting the beautiful sense of hearing. Why aren't you listening to Beethoven or Bach? Why aren't you listening to Chopin? Why are you not listening to the birds singing in the forested area? He says, thinking evil thoughts. and doing evil deeds. And remember, evil is the opposite of life. An evil deed is an anti-life action. Evil deeds waste your energy. Baba says, conserve your energy in all these 5 areas and make your life more meaningful. The Course in Miracles says basically the 5 senses, which are the body, you are using the body's eyes and you are wasting energy. You are using the body's ears and you're not hearing anything because it's evil. It's anti-life. Anything you use the body for is anti-life. Unless you use your body as a holy moving temple to express the Spirit of God through you and allow the Spirit of God to use your eyes, ears, mouth, whatever. So Baba says, see no evil, see what is good. Hear no evil, hear what is good. Speak no evil, speak what is good. Think no evil, think what is good. Do no evil, do what is good. This is the way to God. How beautiful is that? And the word good and God are the same. So see no evil, see what is God. How wonderful. See God everywhere. In the flowers and trees. See it in your neighbors. See God everywhere. And the Course in Miracles says, I see God everywhere because God is in my mind. Hear no evil. Hear what is God. God is always inspiring, uplifting. It's good to hear God. God is the sound of music. God is high vibration. Speak no evil. Speak what is God. God would never say, that sucks. God says, I am proud of you, or you are my beloved. I love you. You are amazing. You are a part of me. And together we are one. Think no evil. Think what is God. How would God think? Do no evil. Do what is God. What would God do? God is always in a state of extending more of itself. Always in a state of giving. Always in a state of extending everything that love is. This is the way to God. The path of divinity is not seeing, listening, speaking, thinking, or doing anything bad. If we are not following this path, we are wasting our energy. On account of this waste of energy, we are losing, get this guys, we are losing our memory power. Now just hear people today, my memory is so bad. Really? But you are God. You have an overlay of seeing evil. You have an overlay of hearing evil. You have an overlay of speaking evil. You have an overlay of thinking evil. You have an overlay of doing evil. That's why your memory's bad. Nothing did anything to you. You did it by how you use your 5 senses. So he says we are losing our memory power, we're losing our intelligence, and the power of discrimination, and the power of justice. Which is the path of right action. Baba says, well, you might be wondering how this is possible. How are we wasting time, for example? That's another one. How do you waste time? He says, well, when you turn on the TV or you turn on your radio or whatever it is to listen to a certain program, whether you raise or lower the volume of the sound, as long as the radio is on, the current is being used. Our mind is like the radio. Whether you talk with others or only think within yourself, you are consuming energy. Your mind is working all the time. Since it is always turned on, you are consuming a lot of energy. Instead of wasting that power energy or force in mental meandering, isn't it better to spend your time in thinking good thoughts? The ceiling on desires is everything. Okay. Here's what Baba says about the easiest way of achieving control of the mind. Baba says you should be established in the awareness that the Lord is ever present. So that's practicing the presence, being here now. You must also be prompted by the feeling that you are performing deeds for the pleasure of the Lord. How wonderful. How wonderful would it be if whatever you were doing throughout the day, God was so present in your mind that you were in this ecstatic joy doing whatever it is you're doing for yourself or others, without any feelings of, oh, why do I have to do this? Or, right? God is so present that it is a joy to serve. Then he says, if you are prompted by feelings that your body belongs to the Lord, you will not sin with your body. On the other hand, all your efforts and endeavors will proceed towards divinity. If you are saturated with the conviction that your energy belongs to God, you will not misuse it. God is energy, and you are a stream of divine energy. What are you doing with that energy? Who's your puppeteer? It is in light of this that we have prescribed the principle of the ceiling on desires. Then Baba says, the second instruction, this is kind of a repeat, but we need to hear it obviously. Don't waste money. God is wealth. Since God is wealth, misuse of money is evil. Practice charity by gifting away money. Food, clothes, houses. Yeah, houses. Whatever. I gave a car away once in Seattle. Here, you can have that. Give it away. That's how you keep it. Give it away. Yeah. Gifting away money, food, clothes. Oh, that's a good one for all ladies who have closets full of clothes that you haven't worn for 5 years. Give it away. Give it away. It's amazing. When you give, things come back tenfold. Then Baba says, instead of misusing money in extravagance, misuse of money is not only evil, but a sin as well. And then he went on again and he said, don't waste time, don't waste time. Time waste is life waste. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your energy. God is exalted as time. He is beyond time, he transcends time, and he is the embodiment of time. So we are here as extensions of everything God is. We are embodiments of God, embodiments of love, and we are also embodiments of time. We are here on a timeline as God beings, using God energy to move this planet to the next level of love light. Wasting time is wasting God. So don't waste your energy. That was his fourth instruction. People waste their energy by indulging in bad thoughts, seeing bad things, hearing bad things, and taking bad actions. He says, love, light the lamp of love within. Man is making every attempt today to be happy and blissful. But where do you get this bliss? Where do you get the bliss? Is it in the material things? Is it in the world? Does your bliss come from your husband or your wife? In books? In seminars? I'll add on a few. YouTube videos? TikTok, Instagram, all the things that people are, thank God I never went down that rabbit hole. People say, do you have Instagram? I don't have any of it. We have a Facebook for Anchoring the Light. That is it. That is it. I could care less about what the rest of the world's doing. I'm going to use all my energy for God. Okay. And again, balance here. If you're using a platform for the higher good, then it's good. After all, we are moving into the Aquarian age. It's all about thought waves and things moving in the air that connect us electronically and blah, blah, blah. So we want to use it for the higher good. Then he says, you have forgotten your true self, the source of bliss. Are you connected to your higher self? Is your higher self your puppeteer? You are struggling hard for artificial happiness. I think that falls in the category of artificial intelligence. Artificial happiness. Are you going to evolve organically, or are you going to keep going for everything artificial? Artificial happiness outside. You are not aware of the reality that lies in the heart. That beautiful heart. You are not aware of all the bliss that is in there. The principle of love originates from the heart, not from the world. Everyone should develop love more and more. Fall in love with yourself, and you will give that love away to everyone. You will not be moody. You will not throw your moods on people. You'll not have attitudes. You will be the same all the time, because love doesn't change. Truth doesn't change. You will show up and be the love that God is. Right? That's a sign of a true teacher. A healed healer is someone that shows up and they're the same all the time. They're not throwing stuff at you and moody and attitudes from hell and blah, blah, blah. They're the same all the time because love never changes. So Baba says, but today there is hatred and anger. So many people are angry, and it's everywhere, Baba says. Wherever you look, there is desire, enmity, and fear. How do you expect to be at peace? How do you expect to be blissful? Light the lamp of love within. Then fear and illusion can be removed, and you can have the vision of the self. Otherwise, you are bound to suffer. You have to exercise a ceiling on desires. There are rules for a ceiling with regard to land and property, but you have no ceiling on your desires. Ceiling on desires means exercising control over them. You can be happy once desires are controlled. And that seems really counter, because we get these temporary fixes in the world and we feel like, yes, and then doink, the bottom falls out. And then it's like, yes, oh yes. And then it falls apart again. So it feels like, but if I really give up the desire, will I ever feel like fulfilled? Do you ever think that? It's like, but okay, well, if I give up all these desires and these things that I think the world can give me that will make me feel, happy 24/7, if I really give that up, am I really going to feel happy? Because we don't trust God, right? We just don't trust. We don't think that if I give all this stuff up and let it all go, and I become the puppet for, the higher self, we have to have that experience to know that that's what I want. So it begins by giving up the things that you think are going to give you bliss and happiness. Give them up. Like I said in the beginning, it's really hard for people to let go of their desires and your attachments and cravings. It's really hard. Like your beliefs. It's hard to give up your belief. After all, it's been in your family for 3 generations. That's what my family believed. And all this, it's hard to give it up. It takes, courage, and it's a process. But as we begin to let go and let go and let go of all of these cravings and desires, you get to experience bliss, real bona fide grace, that you don't want anything else. Those moments when you feel so happy, in those moments of bliss, do you ever even think of something else that you want in that moment? Never. You're so full. Your cup runneth over, and you give from the overflow because you're so filled with God's grace. But you have to practice. I have to practice giving up desires. Okay. So Baba says, okay, I like this line. This is so cute. He always would say, less luggage, more comfort makes travel a pleasure. Isn't it true? Oh my God, I remember one time we went to Peru and we were on the train going to Machu Picchu. And one of the members in our group had a suitcase that was half the size of a train car. And one of the people, the conductor, I don't know, what do they call the train people? He came around and he said, I could live in that. And pointed to the suitcase. Well, we all had a good laugh, but isn't that true? What are you taking with you around the world, right? Your life is a long journey, says Baba. You should have less luggage, desires. That's your luggage. Desires are your luggage in this long journey of life. Therefore, it is said, less luggage, less desires, more comfort makes travel a pleasure. So sealing on desires is what you have to adopt today. You have to cut short your desires day by day. So, like one day at a time, this is what I'm going to do. You are under the mistaken notion that happiness lies in the fulfillment of desires. And just think about your life and all the things that you chased after. It never panned out. But in fact, happiness begins to dawn when desires are totally eradicated. That means you have one desire, God. One desire, peace. Wow. When you reduce your desires, you advance towards the state of renunciation. See, a lot of people think to be a renunciant, let's go be a monk and let's go be a nun and let's get out of this life and go and join something. But the desires went with you. A true renunciant is the person who gives up their desires. You can be, and now this is the time in the Aquarian age to be in the world and not of the world. You don't have to run away to a cave. You don't have to run away to a monastery. You don't have to go hide in a convent. Nope, just show up and notice your desire body, what you're chasing after, and keep turning them over. Okay? Reduce your desires, you advance. You have many desires. Many. Ask yourself, well, what am I getting out of these desires? Baba says, ask, what do you get out of them? Because he said, you are bound to face the consequences when you claim something as yours. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Think of all the things you want to own, including people, your wife, your kids, desires. How about this one? I hear people all the time say, oh, when we get pregnant, I just want to have a girl. Nope, gotta go. Can't have that desire. Oh, I just want to have a son. How about in the cultures? Boys are better than girls. That's the desire. And you pray for a boy instead of asking your higher self to give you what you need to evolve. No, you have a desire. It's called, if you're a parent, I want to have a boy. I want to have a girl. Even these desires have to go. When you claim a piece of land as yours, you will have to reap the harvest, right? You always have to be on the, whatever it is that you're attached to, you're going to experience what that attachment brings up. So think about, okay, this is my land. This is my land. And now I have to, plant the crops on it and I have to harvest the crops. There's always something. There's always more. There's always something to do. The instinct of ego and attachment will put you to suffering. You will be blissful the moment you give up ego and attachment. And most of these discourses, by the way, guys, come from Sathya Sai Speaks, volume 32. Okay. Then he says, this is a good one too, nothing accompanies you when you leave the world. Wherever you look today, there are only desires, 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 and more desires. Put a ceiling on these desires. Only then will your mind become steady. You say, I want this, I want that. You have the desire not to have that. You have the desire to only want that. You have desires for so many things. Baba says, thus you develop many wants. They are like passing clouds. Why should you multiply your wants, these passing clouds? Ultimately, nothing accompanies you at the time of your leaving this mortal body. And this is a story he told. He said, great kings and emperors ruled over this world. They conquered many countries and accumulated boundless wealth. Even Alexander the Great, who conquered several parts of the world, he couldn't take with him even a minuscule part of the wealth he accumulated. He had to leave this world with empty hands. So to demonstrate this truth, Alexander the Great instructed his ministers to take his dead body in a procession through the streets of his capital, keeping both his hands in a raised position pointing toward the sky. The ministers were curious to know the reason for this strange request. And Alexander the Great said, I have conquered many countries and accumulated so much wealth. There is a vast army under my control, yet none is accompanying me at the time of my leaving this body. So I'm going with empty hands. And this has to be demonstrated to all people. So what the heck? Just look at everything we hang on to in this life. Think of Alexander the Great. There he was. In his funeral procession, he said, put my hands in the air and let everybody see you take nothing with you. Only the love you gave. This is another good one. They're all good from Baba. Excessive desire causes imbalance in nature. Man should put a ceiling on his desires, as man's conduct is perverted. Today we find natural calamities taking place. You are aware of the devastation caused by the earthquake in Gujarat. There was a huge earthquake a number of years ago in India. Thousands and thousands of people lost their lives. And the reason for this is that man is entertaining excessive desires, because our planet is a reflective planet. When there's an imbalance, Mother Earth will reflect that. God maintains perfect balance in his creations. In God's creation, the earth and the oceans are endowed with balance. But man is indiscriminately exploiting the earth for extracting oil. Every day, tons of fish are caught from the oceans. This indiscriminate exploitation of nature results in imbalance in earth, which is playing havoc with human lives. Only when man is free from unsteadiness within will he not be troubled by earthquakes. That's hard to get that, isn't it? But everything is a mirror of the mind. And our collective endless desires and the imbalance in us, the earth can only reflect it. Do not rob nature of its resources to satisfy your greed. Not only the people of India, but also the people of the entire world should strive to maintain equanimity, balance. The 5 elements are nothing but manifestations of the divine: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Man's life will be secure only when he realizes this truth and acts accordingly. A few days ago, I sent lorry loads of rice and all kinds of things to the earthquake victims of Gujarat. Some people asked me, Swami, why did you take the trouble to spend so much money for sending relief material to Gujarat? You could have instead averted the earthquake. And Baba said, he replied, my dear man has to blame himself for the earthquakes. Due to excessive greed for wealth, he is disturbing the balance of the earth. Hence the earthquake. That is the law of nature. So, if Baba would have stopped the earthquake, in that sense, we don't get to see the power of our wanting, the power of our thoughts, and the result of what we think. That's what we're experiencing. Just look at the life you have, the results you find yourself living in, and say to yourself, I'm living in the results of what I think. And this is why Baba said, men doesn't realize it's because of the thoughts, the earthquakes, the thoughts, the devastation in the weather, the thoughts. It's the thoughts. Everything is thought. Everything is energy. You have to express your love for man by helping the needy. Love is your nature. Just as balance is very much essential for nature, so also love is very much needed for man. Know that whatever God has created is for your own welfare. You should enjoy nature according to your need. You should not rob nature of its resources to satisfy your greed. Like these simple teachings, and we learned these teachings in our religions growing up, right? Don't be greedy. My mom used to say, don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Where's that today? Nobody tells their kids that. It's like, gimme, 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 gimme. I want, and everybody's feeding everybody and giving them what they want. Parents are afraid to be a parent. Parents are afraid to put their foot down. Everybody is just insane. It's insane. Okay, science should be utilized only to the extent needed. Here is an example. Once a greedy person owned a duck, which used to lay a golden egg every day. One day, he ripped open the stomach of the duck, thinking that he would get many golden eggs at a time. Today, man is also indulging in such foolish and greedy acts. So look at your life. Where am I greedy? Where am I hoarding? Yeah. Well, I just have to tell you, this is so gross, but it's not funny, but it is. So Joe Rogan, I love his podcast, by the way. So he had a little snippet, a 7-minute snippet yesterday of on his podcast about a woman who hoards human feces in bottles and buckets in her house for 10 years. I mean, yeah.
The grossest.
It's the grossest.
Of hoarders.
Joe Rogan said he couldn't even look at it. He said that is the grossest thing ever. And the woman had no concept. She just thought it was normal for her. But have you ever watched Hoarders? I like to watch those shows. I watch them to learn something about addiction. It's so sad. It's just so sad. Yeah, what are you laughing at?
Oh.
Somebody put a remark there. What is that? Oh, there's a... Michael. I know Michael. Yes. Like there's all kinds of hoarders. What is wrong with us? It's a desire for everything but God. Okay. So
Wendy says it's perplexing. For some reason, hers is not.
Oh, hi, Wendy. It is perplexing, isn't it, Wendy? Yes, it's just crazy. Okay, so that's what we do. Rip open the little duck is laying 1 egg a day, and you got to go rip its gut open to see how many more you can grab. That's kind of how we live our life, greedy. Today, man is also indulging in such foolish and greedy acts, instead of being satisfied with what nature is giving him. He aspires for more and more and more. And in the process, he is creating imbalance in nature. Today, scientists are interested in new inventions. The advancement in science and technology has also led to imbalance in nature. And guys, as the cycle, the cycle of our heavens shifting gears into a new age from water to air in this Aquarian age, think of the imbalance that is occurring and will continue, with artificial intelligence and robots and all the things that are going on. And none of this is bad per se. But you know what I'm saying? It's going to get wilder out there because there's no God. There's just people wanting fame, people wanting to be noticed, people wanting to have the facelift and the boob implants and the butt tucks and the whatever. It's all artificial. It's not an organic evolution of the soul. And I hate to say it, and some of those woke people can just, not like that. But seriously, that's what's going on. We were created in the image and likeness of God. And the Course in Miracles says in the beginning of the book, this is a required course. It doesn't have to be that particular book, but a course in putting God first. A course in undoing a crazy thought system that's based on separation. Everyone is going to have to do it sooner or later. So you can play in the world of indulgence over here, in the fake world with your fake boobs and your fake face and your fake everything else, right? And it all leads nowhere. You're going to die and with your arms in the air like Alexander the Great. And let me tell you, if you have breast implants, they're going to be in the air too, because that's just how it, and let's just put some humor here, make it funny. And that seriously, that's what's going to go down. Yeah. And then you come back with all of the vitras and the story and the memories and the unhealed greeting, whatever it is, in the astral body, and you do it again. And is it wrong or bad? No, it's just, you're taking the highway. You're not taking a fast track to God by giving up your desires, right? And all that stuff. So again, everything I've said, you can put it into balance, but sometimes it's fun to make it funny, right? Okay. All right. So then the other thing Baba says here is with the scientists, the advancement in science and technology is causing an imbalance. As a result, there are earthquakes and no timely rain. Now, we had that experience here in Malaysia, like weird things with our weather. It's not just here, it's everywhere. This is the imbalance that nature is reflecting. Okay. Science should be utilized only to the extent needed. Science has its limitations, and crossing those limits leads to danger. You have a long way to go. Adhere to truth and righteousness. Our ancient sages said, speak truth, speak pleasantly, and do not speak unpleasant truth. Make proper use of natural resources and do not put them to misuse. Help everybody and make everyone happy. And that's so easy to do. A smile, and if it's not, just hold love in your heart for every single human being. That's not hard to do if you are serving God. Okay. Baba in his next discourse says, desires are the root cause of man's disturbance. All the spiritual practices that man performs aims at making his mind steady. There is no use in constantly repeating God's name, meditating and practicing spiritual austerities if the mind is not steady. Once you have the 5 senses under control, you can experience God. That's the whole thing. And the Course talks about this too. We've got to get those 5 senses under control. How to know God without doing that? Once you have the 5 senses under control, you can experience God. He is not far away from you. He's not far away from you. He is closer than your own breath. He is in you, below you, above you, and all around you. God, in fact, is the indweller of man. yet man is not able to see him. What is the reason? Man's limitless and wayward desires prevent him from seeing God. Desires are the root cause of man's disturbance. Whatever you are given, surrender, accept it as it is. That even in the Course, if you have an illness, fully embrace it, accept it. Accept it. It is what it is, and keep your mind focused on God. Even Baba said, a lot of people were confused when Baba died with his sickness. They said, well, if he's God, why'd he get sick? And Baba always said he felt no pain because he was not identified with the body. Jesus on the cross felt no pain because he was not identified with the body. He was in a different frequency. The body was just doing what it did, but he was in a different frequency. And Baba said, don't be fooled. I felt no pain. Okay. Desires are the root cause of man's disturbance. Sense control and sealing on desires will help man to see God all around and experience bliss. So we have to keep our desires in check. That's first and foremost. And in the Course, another way of the Course saying it is, you still have a split mind. And so you have two desires. And as I think it was last week, I was saying, we pray, dear God, heal my body and bring me peace, which is two desires. You must have one desire. I desire only God. Only you, God. Only you. Sense control and sealing on desires will help us. So we have to keep our desires in check. We should not be worried by the evil talk that others indulge in. Let it go. Don't even join in. We should not be affected by criticism or anything else. You have this equanimity, steadiness of mind, because you're focused on God is, I am, all is well. Control the five senses. Buddha wanted to control the five senses. He decided first and foremost to acquire right vision. Man today is not able to control his vision because of the fickleness of his mind. He's watching TV. He's in the cinema. He's looking at YouTube videos. He's watching TikTok. He's on Facebook. He's out here distracted in this world of nonsense. And therefore, he has polluted his mind. The mind, it's like a monkey mind. It's like, and you're watching this and you're watching that and listening to this and listening to that and reading this book and reading that book, and it's all over the place, and the mind is polluted. The mind is polluted. He does not see good or hear good. Man is the cause of his own restlessness. Besides right vision, Buddha emphasized the need for right hearing, right speech, right feeling, and right thinking. Due to the lack of these, humanness is fast giving way to devilishness and beastliness. Oh, this is good. Baba said this many years ago. Animal qualities are fast increasing in man. Animals have a season and a reason, but man has none. It's whatever. Whatever I want. I'll do what I want, when I want. Man today has become worse than animals. Human qualities like compassion, kindness, love, and forbearance are, where was I? Forbearance are absent in him. He should be free from all evil thoughts, which are the root cause of his worries. This requires constant and sustained practice. Master the mind and be a mastermind. That's what Baba says. Man can control the mind and attain peace by constant and sustained practice. It is only in a peaceful mind that noble thoughts arise. The mind should be under the control of man. Master the mind and be a mastermind, says Baba. Unfortunately, instead of controlling the mind, man has become the slave of his senses. That is the main cause of his unsteadiness. Moreover, he has body attachment. This is the reason he gets easily disturbed if people find fault with him. Do you take things personally? You know, somebody says one little thing and you're like, what? You're taking everything personally. That you're attached to the body. You're identified as a personality and an ego. You think that made up self is the real you. And that's why you're defending it. So that's the cause of unsteadiness. This is the reason he gets disturbed. Why should he worry about the body when the body is like a water bubble? You should get rid of body attachments. It's so cute because I remember one time being in the ashram and a group got called for an interview. And they brought the Course in Miracles into the interview room with Baba. And they held it up and they said, Baba, well, what about this book? And Baba said, I wrote it. I wrote it. So cute. Okay. All right. I just picked out a few little things here. Baba says, there is a limit for everything. There is a limit for everything to function in a normal way. When your eyes happen to see a flash of lightning or a flash of light while taking a photograph, they automatically close because they can't withstand such high illumination. Eardrums also cannot tolerate hearing beyond a certain volume. And we cover our ears or keep cotton inside. From these we see that our life is a limited company. That's really good. We are only doing a disservice by consuming more food, more greed, whatever it is, than what is necessary for your life, for your body. Okay. What time is it? It's 11:45. Okay, let me just see. All right. How about this one? Always be happy, says Baba. Whatever trouble you may face, so think about a trouble going on in your life right now. You must learn to feel happy in that circumstance. Whatever you have going on, it's okay. Can you still find happiness? If you are stung by a scorpion, you must console yourself that at least you weren't bitten by a snake. And when you are bitten by a snake, Baba says, you must console yourself that it has not proved a fatal snake bite. Even if you're not able to own a vehicle, be happy that your legs are intact to enable you to walk. Even if you are not a millionaire, be happy that you have enough resources to feed yourself and your family. This is the way to experience joy, even in adverse circumstances. Turn your effort to realize the reality within. Put a ceiling on desires is a must for leading a peaceful and meaningful life. You must curb the desire to seek more and more wealth and food and everything else, and turn your effort to realize the reality within. In pursuing this effort, you must avoid the waste of food. You must avoid the waste of money. You must avoid the waste of time and avoid the waste of energy. And knowledge, as all these are forms of God. So we must know that money, time, energy, and food are all forms of God. Unnecessary talk should be avoided as this results in a waste of energy and reduction of memory power. Peace can be attained only by God's grace. In the modern world, every person tries hard to attain peace. Peace cannot be attained by spiritual precepts, nor can it be obtained from a market as a commodity. It cannot be acquired even by the knowledge that you read in textbooks or at having a high position in life. Peace can be attained only by God's grace. Though man is eager to attain peace, he confronts many obstacles in the path. Those who travel by train may be well acquainted with the slogan, less luggage, more comfort makes travel pleasure. Now man is burdening himself with limitless desires. Because of this extra heavy luggage of desires, he finds it extremely difficult to carry on the journey of life. By such proliferation of desires, he loses his balance, moves far away from his goal, and even tends to go insane. It is for this reason that I have been stressing the need for a ceiling on desires. By limiting your desires, you can attain peace to a certain extent. You have to exercise a check on your desires and make efforts to get the grace of the divine. Baba reminds us with this last one here, he said, bad qualities are the result of your own thoughts. So he says, suppose you get angry. Think of a situation in your life where you feel really angry at someone, at yourself, whatever. He says, from whence did this anger come from? This has come from you only. Similarly, jealousy is a quality that manifested from your mind. Thus, each one of these bad qualities is the result of your own thoughts. Hence, if you are able to control your thoughts properly, you will be able to achieve anything in life. The mind, intellect, and awareness are the reflections of the Atma. You are the divine Atma, the soul in you. The mind has no stability. It is the repository of thoughts and desires. It is said the mind alone is the cause of bondage or liberation. Hence, one has to keep the mind under proper control by putting some ceiling on desires. Okay, so I think that's good. There's more to that. We'll go on with this next week, but isn't it great? The simple teachings of Sai Baba. I just feel they're so needed at this time to really help us realize the mess that we've gotten ourselves into. This extravagance and greed and pride and you know, it's beyond now. It's beyond. I like how he says when we look out there, all we see is desires, 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 you know. And in your own life, I know in my own life, I thought, well, that's it. I'm cleaning out my cupboard and I'm giving stuff away. You know, the thing with me is I'm a sewer. So during the pandemic, I made a brand new wardrobe. All the fabric that I had in my cupboards, I just sewed up a storm. And it's like squashed in my closet. So I think I'm going to go through my cupboard. And the last time I took some clothes to Salvation Army, I saw the mannequin with my dress on about 2 weeks later. And that was so special.
Yeah.
Somebody liked that dress, even if it was a mannequin. But anyway, so, you know, for all us ladies, and maybe men too, who have an excess of things, let's scale down. How about when we go for groceries, we meal plan and we think about, you know, let's eat in everything in balance. Let's incorporate more sattvic foods so we can feed the light body. Things like that. And let's practice so-hum, you know. Just think of that through the day. I and thou are one. And keep our mind focused on God consciousness. I mean, we can add on a lot to the world by doing that, right? We can help this world move up. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's session as much as I did. And Om Sai Ram to my beautiful Sathya Sai Baba. After saying all of this, I have this longing in my heart to go to the ashram, not because, Baba never saw us, right? He never called us for interview, but it was to be in the energy to be re-energized. That's what happens when you go to the ashram. You get re-energized. It's just, even when Baba's not there, he passed, he left his physical body in, I think, 2011. But even when we were there a couple years ago, remember that, Susan? There's just this energy. Oh, hi, Pearly. Love you too. I love you. And I love this too. Yeah. But, when we're in the ashram, we get this beautiful energy. Thank you, Michael. It really does re-energize you. And that's what, it's almost like you go and you plug into the master battery or something, and you get this charge of energy that you're ready to go back out into the world. And as I was putting this together and thinking of Baba, I thought, oh, it would feel so nice to go and sit in the ashram and just be in that frequency, because you really feel it. You still really, really feel it when you're there. It's just so wonderful. So, but anyway, so tomorrow night, please join in for another breathwork session. We are under such auspicious energies with our cycles shifting. We are in the astrological new year, beginning with Aries. It's a whole new year for the zodiac, and that's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And also, we have the new moon energies at the same time, and our sun moving into Aries with the equinox. So, it's really nice that we're going to be doing a breath work on that day itself. So I hope you join in. And other than that, I guess that's it. So I won't close without saying I love you so much, and I thank you for sharing your light with the world. And I send you a million hugs and kisses, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. So bye for now. Om Sai Ram.